I told you this Maven dependencies, right? If you see here, so if you see the scope, I told you I'll tell you later what is this scope. Okay, so now today we're going to see what is scope. Okay, what is scope? So let me Maven dependency scopes. Okay. So Maven dependency scopes. So we'll see the list. First is compile. Second is provided. Third is runtime. Okay. Fourth is test. And fifth is system. Okay. And we have also sixth also, I'll tell you this also. What is this is import actually. So these are total Maven dependency scopes. See, in yesterday's project, if you see, the scope is a test. In yesterday's project, the scope is a test. And you might have got about what is scope. So this is one of the scope test. Like that, we have scope compile, provided, runtime, system, import, all these. Okay, so we'll see one by one. Yesterday I commented out this because to just see the compilation issue. Okay. Now you see. First, let us see compile. The default scope is compiled. That means if I don't specify any scope, just like this. Suppose if I don't specify this, if I don't specify this scope, that means the scope is compiled. And what do you mean by scope, first of all? See, scope means the dependencies that you specify in form.xml. The dependencies that we specify in form.xml will be used during which phase of the project? Which phase of project execution? So that is what scope. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Everyone is able to see my screen? Everyone is able to see my screen? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. Many people are able to see my screen. Yes. Okay, good. I think the team who is not able to see, I think a couple of people have seen messages. Just see, I think there is an issue from your end. You rejoin once again. Okay. So the dependencies that we specify in form.xml will be used during which phase of project execution? See, a project, what are the different phases of project execution? I mean, important phases. important phases of project execution. Okay. Compilation. Right. First project should be compiled, right? That is most important. Compilation. Next, testing, like the unit testing and all that. Then runtime. Right? Runtime means you compile the project, you run the project. You take a simple program, a.java. I compile a.java. Then I run a.java. How Java C a.java, I compile. Then Java A, like that. Okay, these are all different phases of this project execution. Okay, the program, the map, some different phases of Maven project execution. So compilation, testing, runtime, these are all. Now, whatever we specify the dependencies, okay? Let me tell you one dependency. Let me take one Spring Core dependency. Let me take like this. Spring Core Maven. Okay, let me take this dependency. Now I'm building a Spring project and I'm using this dependency. Okay, I'm using this dependency. Okay, this is the dependency I used. Where in my pom.xml. So I'm creating a Maven project. So I added the below dependency in pom.xml. Why? Because I'm developing a project that uses Spring framework. Okay, I'm developing a project that uses Spring framework. Spring framework. Okay. So this dependency contains multiple jars. As I told you, one dependency contains multiple jars and one jar contains multiple classes. Now, if I add this dependency in my project, I'll get all the Spring Core related classes. And in my project, I can use those classes by importing the packages like import org.springframework. Okay. I'll use the Spring framework related classes and I import the packages. And if you see, these packages are available from these jars present here. Okay. From these jars. So now, if you see here in my pom.xml, I did not specify anywhere scope. There is a group ID, there is an artifact ID, there is a version. I told you, right? Every Maven project can be included in another Maven project. Now, this itself is a Maven project with the group ID, with this artifact ID, and with this version. I am including this Maven project in my project. Okay, this Spring framework is a Maven project. I am including that in my project. Okay, so that I can use these classes present in this library. Now, if you see, I did not specify anywhere scope. That means by default, if I don't specify anything, if we don't specify scope in the dependency section in pom.xml, okay, the scope is compiled. The scope is compiled. If you don't specify scope in the dependency section in pom.xml, the scope is compiled. That means what do you mean by scope is compiled? Means this dependency or the libraries that are part of these dependencies part of this dependency is used during compilation of the project, testing of the project, and running of the project. The libraries that are part of this dependency is used during compilation of project, testing of the project, running of the project. See. Okay. So that means, suppose I write a program a.java. Okay. I write a program a.java. Now in a.java, I add the below, I import the below packages, below Spring package, and use the required and use the Spring classes in my a.java. Okay. Okay, like import what.spring framework. I'll say class A. Okay. And here I'll say some method or public static void main. And here I'll say application context, something like this. Context is equal to new class path XML application context. Like this I will have. Okay, like this I will have. And what is this class? This class are part of this package. Okay, this class are part of this package. And from where this package has come, when I added this dependency, your pom.xml, your maven will download these libraries, these classes. Yesterday I told you. First it will check in your local repository. If they are not available in your local repository, then they will go to the, it will connect to the central repository and download all that from there. Okay. From the central repository. Yesterday I was telling you that. So from there, that libraries will come, and in those libraries, these classes are present, and then only your program will be able to recognize these classes present in that class path. Okay, fine. Now you see, now this package is part of this dependency, and this dependency scope is compiled because we did not specify any scope here. The default scope, if you don't specify any scope in the depend section, by default it will take it as compiled. And what is compiled? The libraries that are added here are the dependencies that are added as part of scope compile. So those will be used during the compilation, running, and testing of the project. Now you see. Now, for example, suppose I put here scope something like runtime. Okay, just I did not tell you runtime, right? I'll tell you. When I put scope as runtime like this, by default, it is not compiled now. I mean, because I've overridden the scope. Now it is runtime. Runtime means the library will be used only during the running of the project, not during the compilation. That means when I compile this a.java now, definitely I'll get an error. When I compile a.java, definitely I'll get an error. Why? Because this library, this dependency, the scope is runtime, and this is not used during the during the compilation of the project. So when I compile now a.java, I'll get an error. Why this package is not recognized during the compilation time? Why? Because this package is part of this dependency, and this dependency scope is runtime. That means this will be used only during the running of the project, not during the compilation. So that is the reason. If I don't put any scope now, that means this dependency will be used during the compilation of the project. So now when I say java ca.java, I get compiled. The program compiles. Okay. And similarly, when I say Java A, even this scope, this library is used in the running of the program also. The program runs. Okay. And even I can write unit test cases also. Whatever I told you, right? JUnit or mock it out, I can use these packages and write the unit test case. So during testing also, during unit testing also, the program runs. Okay. So that is what compile. So if I don't specify anything in the scope, by default that will be compiled, and this library will be used in the compilation of the project, running of the project, testing of the project. Okay. So that is what compile. Okay. Now This is what compile. Now, second one is provided. What is provided? The dependency is specified with this scope in form.xml will be used only during compilation and testing. And not running. Provided means the dependency specified with the scope in form.xml will be used during compilation and test and not running. Okay. Now, let us take one dependency. Say we are developing a servlet application, advanced Java. I'll tell you an example. We are developing a servlet-based application. So, if I say Java x.servlet, Maven, see this is your servlet dependency, right? Now see, already in Maven itself, they provided scope as provided. Okay, so in my form.xml, I use this. In form.xml, we add this. Now I write a servlet class I'll write a.java. Now I write a class that extends HTTP servlet. Okay, like this. And where is this servlet present? This is present in your package, import java x.servlet servlet.star. Okay, this is present. This class is present in this package. And this package is coming from where? This dependency. But here if you see scope, I am putting as provided. What do you mean by this? Means provided means now this project a.java will use this class or will use this dependency only during the compilation and testing. Now see, when I say a.java, the program compiles. The program compiles, right? A.java, the program compiles. Why? Because it will take this package, this class is part of this package, and this package is coming from this dependency, and this dependency scope is provided. When I say provided means this dependency will be added to the compilation scope. That means when I compile the program compiles. The program compiles, okay, without any error. Because this is recognized. When I say scope provided means this dependency is recognized during the compilation. Even I can write unit test and unit test. I can import in my JUnit class, I can import this package. Import servlet package in JUnit. So it will test. So testing also fine. But now I want to run this program. Now this is a servlet program, right? This servlet program during running, where it is deployed, it will be running in the Tomcat server, right? So servlet program will be running in Tomcat server. Tomcat or any application server. Okay. Now when servlet program is running in Tomcat server, okay, it will use the servlet it will use the servlet class, servlet packages or servlet libraries provided by Tomcat server. Okay, for running, it will not use these libraries specified in pom.xml. While the servlet program is running, only this will be used for the compilation only for the compilation and testing. But when we run this program, when we run this a.java, it is a servlet program. So servlet program means it has to be executed in Tomcat server or some other application server. So when it is running in Tomcat application server, it need not take this dependency present in the pom.xml because Tomcat server already comes up with many servlet libraries. So when the program is running in Tomcat server will supply those servlet libraries to the program. That is the reason for this program, the libraries need not be taken from pom.xml. That is the reason we have put scope as provided. So when we put scope as provided, the dependency specified with the scope in pom.xml will be used only during compilation and test and not running. And from running, where the project will take, it will take directly from the Tomcat server. So Tomcat server has those runtime servlet libraries. Any application server you take, any Java application server you take, they have the servlet libraries. So this scope will be taken, this scope will be only used during the compilation and testing, may not be running. See, if you don't put scope provided, then what will happen now? It will be running. It will be compilation, right? See, when you don't put scope for this, the default is compile. When I don't put scope, compile. And compile means the scope will be used during compilation, testing, and running also. At the time, this servlet library will be used during the running. It will not take from the Tomcat server. If I put scope as provided, see, if you don't put scope as if you remove the scope, okay, for the above servlet dependency, if you remove scope from pom.xml, then this dependency will be used during compiling, running, and testing. So at the time, it will not take from the Tomcat server, it will take the library from this server, from pom.xml. But if you put scope as provided, then this will be used only during compilation and testing. Okay. Here and clear on these two scopes, compile and provided. On these two scopes, everyone is clear. Compile and provided these two scopes. So provided means the scope will be used during the compilation and testing. But you're running, for example, so let us take an example of servlet library. When an application is running in Tomcat, it will use servlet libraries provided by Tomcat server during the execution, during running. But for compilation, it will take these dependencies. So that's why only you are able to compile this program. Okay. So this is what compile and provided. Next, we'll see one more. See, today I'll wind up the session in another 10 minutes. I have urgent work I got. So I'll wind up the session in 2:45. Okay. Tomorrow I'll continue the other things. Okay. So we'll see the next one. Yeah. Yeah. Even if you don't put compile, or even if you put compile, it will be compiled. Okay. Now next is third one is runtime. Okay. Let me explain this and then we'll. So this dependency is the dependency specified with runtime scope will be needed only during test and running of the project, and not required during compilation. So the dependency specified with runtime scope will be needed only during test and running of the project. Test means you can think like JUnit cases. Always when I say test means JUnit, writing the JUnit code. There you can use those packages, whatever you specify in the dependency section. In all the other things, wherever I refer test means you are to JUnit. And running of the project and not required during compilation. Okay. So the dependency specified with runtime scope will be needed only during test and running of the project and not required during compilation. Okay, I'll tell you an example. See, you'll understand this with examples. Okay. See, you are able to understand provided with this servlet library. Okay. For runtime also, there are some examples. Okay. For example, you know JDBC program, right? You are writing a JDBC program. What is JDBC program? Java to database connect. We have seen that in our unit test case also for one of the examples. There, if you remember, let me open this one only. There, if you remember, in form.xml, I added this dependency. Okay. I added this dependency, MySQL dependency. Here I'll put scope as runtime. Generally, I should put like this only. Runtime. When I put like this, so I'll put like this. When I put like this, what will happen is this dependency will be used only during the JUnit and running of the project. Okay. When I say running of the project, not required during the compilation. Now you see. So related to this dependency, where we are using the class, we are using this class com.mysql.jdbsdriver, right? Only this package, this class. Okay, this is the class that is part of. This is the class that is part of this dependency. Okay. Now you see, even if I remove this dependency also, so this is compiling. See, I'm not seeing any compiler. You see, I'm not seeing any compiler. This is compiling. Even if I remove this MySQL, this dependency, I remove now here. Okay, I remove now. This is compiling. So see, I'm not seeing. If any compiler means in the Eclipse, you'll show some red mark. Okay, you'll see like this. See, this is a compiler. See, this is a compiler. Okay. Now, even if I remove this dependency also, this is compiling. But when you run this project, you'll get an error. See, let me run this. Now compilation successful. Now I'm running the project. Now I'm running it. See, now during the running of the program, I got this. That means this dependency, whatever I have, this dependency is used only during the runtime of the project, not during compilation. For compilation, even if you don't have this dependency also, it will compile. But when we run the program, this dependency should be there actually. So that is what. So runtime, when I specify scope as runtime means the dependency specified with runtime scope will be needed only during the test and running of the project and not required during compilation. Okay. So that is the reason I will put scope as runtime so that this dependency will be used only during the running of the project. Even if I remove scope here, it will be compiled now. But this library doesn't require for compilation. This library doesn't require for compilation. Okay, so it requires only for running of the project. So that is the reason I put scope as runtime. Okay, now I'll put scope as runtime now. Now I'll run the program. See, now it is working. So runtime means this library will be used only during the running of the project or during unit testing, but not required during compilation. Because even if I remove this dependency also, you will not get any error here. It will compile, the program will compile. But when it is trying to run, what is class.forName will do now? It will load this class into your JVM during the running of the program. That is the reason. And when this dependency is not there, when this dependency is not there in the pom.xml, that means this class is not recognized. There is no library that is associated with this class. Okay. So you got the difference, right? By default, compile. When you specify provided, it will be used during the compilation and testing of the project. When I specify runtime, it will be used only during the runtime and testing of the project, not required in the compilation. And there is another scope called test. Test. What do you mean by test? See, in our earlier examples, when we see with Mockito, we have seen Mockito scope is test. This is scope is test. And you see, these are all testing libraries. These are all testing libraries. Okay. Test scope means test means. So when I put scope as test, so the dependency specified with scope as a test will be used only for the JUnit test code, not for the original source code. See, this is your original source code. SRC main Java is your original source code. SRC test.java is the test code. Okay, whatever you specify the dependency like this in my pom.xml. Like this, if you specify the dependency in pom.xml, now this library will be used only for the JUnit test code, compilation and running. Okay, for only JUnit test code, compilation and running. Not for your business logic code. JUnit test code, compilation and running. So the dependency specified with scope as a test will only be used for JUnit test code, compilation and running. Example this. Okay, I'll stop here. So tomorrow I'll show you the other two, system and import. Okay. Everyone understood till now these scopes: compile, provided, runtime, test. Okay, I'll upload today all the classroom notes. Today I will upload all the classroom notes. Okay, just wait for some time. Today I will upload. Okay. So test means, what is scope test means? Test will be used only for the JUnit test code, not for your original source code. Whatever you write the unit test code, you have seen using Mockito and JUnit, that will be used only for test code, compilation and running. Test code also has to be compiled and running, right? See, we are separating Maven project two parts. SRC main Java contains your actual code. SRC test Java contains all your test code. So your test dependency, test scope will be whatever you added the dependency in your test scope will be used only in this scope one. Okay, all right. Everyone understood these four scopes? This is one of the important interview questions. They'll ask what are Maven dependency scopes. You can tell with the examples like this. All right then. Okay, I'll upload tomorrow. By today I'll upload all the Google Classroom. Okay then. Thank you all. Actually, I got one urgent work. Otherwise, I could have continued a few more minutes. I have to attend one meeting urgently. Okay. So tomorrow I'll continue. Okay then. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Take care. Yeah, today itself I'll upload the notes. Okay then. Okay then. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you everyone. Okay, bye. I'm disconnecting. Okay then. Thank you all.